Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Bat Around. I'm your host, Paul Valley. With me, as always, from Pigtown Sports, he is Zach Moore. Zach, good evening. How's your Memorial Day weekend going?
What's going on, fellas? Memorial Day so far, the weekend, pretty good, pretty good. We had all-star games for our Little League yesterday, so pretty much spent the entire day up there, watching my boys that I picked and watching some of the other kids. I actually got picked to coach the all-star team in the summer, so I was doing a little bit of scouting too for the 6-year-old all-star game, just to see who I'm going to try and pick. And then, cut the grass and wash the truck today, and then now I'm here. How about you?
Not too bad. I ended up going over to my buddy's house for an impromptu cookout today, and got one of my mom's tomorrow, and just hanging out with my daughter all weekend. So it's been a pretty awesome weekend, I have to admit. I had nothing to complain about. So, and look, the Orioles they've got a 2-game winning streak for the first time, I think, since April 31st to May 1st. And they took 2 of 4 from the Red Sox in Boston. They've won 3 of the last 5. We won't talk about how one of those losses was one of the worst in team history, at least in my opinion, anyway, from what my eyes have seen. But Orioles looking up, I guess, considering what it did look like when we started the show last week. So all things considered, a pretty good weekend for us and for the Orioles and their Baltimore Orioles faithful. Today's show brought to you by Classic 5 Golf. If you want to improve your golf game or learn to play for the first time, the Baltimore Golf Academy has fun instructional programs for the beginner golfer to everyday players. The Baltimore Golf Academy can take your game to the next level. Enroll today at baltimoregolfacademy.com. All right, Zach, let's get into it. The Orioles, they take 2 of 4 from the Red Sox. They win today 5-1. Ryan O'Hearn getting a big league home run and a little league inside the park home run today. They won the second game of the doubleheader yesterday, 3-0. Trevor Rogers. I'm sorry, it was 3-1. 3-1, I think it was yesterday.
2-1, wasn't it?
2-1?
Yeah, 2-1.
2-1. 2-1. Trevor Rogers, out of nowhere, makes his first start of the season, goes 6 1/3 of 2-hit shutout ball. No walks either, with 5 strikeouts. Did not look like the guy that we got last year. And it just kind of goes
2021 Rogers.
Yeah, he was absolutely phenomenal in last night's ball game to take the win over the. Well, he didn't get the win, but the Orioles won that ball game against the Red Sox 2-1. And you look at what Rogers did, and what we saw him doing in the minors as he was on his rehab stint. And it kind of goes to show that these guys, when they pitch in the minors on rehab stints, it's not about the results. It's about pitchability, getting comfortable, working on stuff, throwing the pitches you want to throw in the counts that you want to throw them, landing your pitches where you want to land them. And is that kind of what you saw from Trevor Rogers yesterday, hitting his spots, mixing in his off-speed pitches, and just kind of looking the part of a big league guy who came over in a top prospect trade?
He looked completely different in my eyes. He looked like a guy that was confident in his stuff, confident in where he was throwing the ball. It was going to go there. Last year, he talked about his legs getting a little tired and whatnot. I felt like there was times that he couldn't locate certain pitches, and these are big league hitters. They're going to eliminate that. They know you can't. They know you can't throw a first strike. They're not even going to look for it. And I felt like yesterday he had all 3-4 pitches going, and guys couldn't eliminate one of them to make it really easy on themselves. And he had everybody just kind of in a shell shock, I guess you could say. I don't want to say shell shock, but he had everybody off balance, and he just had complete control over himself, over his command. It was nice to see, and hopefully he can build off of that. Did you listen to his post game at all?
I did not. I was working the restaurant last night, so I missed it.
It was a little emotional, and it was kind of nice to hear a little bit. I mean, he said that the last year and a half or so had really worn on him mentally, to the point where he thought about giving it up. And, he told himself that he was just going to keep going and pushing, and, wasn't going to let this define him. And he came out and turned that out. And, and to have that mindset, especially after you've kind of, to be pretty blunt about it, you got hit around in AAA, AA and AAA. He had almost an 8 ERA or north of an 8 ERA in 5 starts. I don't think anybody on this planet expected him to do that. I can't even be honest with you if he expected to do that. But it was nice to see and get him with his confidence going a little bit. If he can sit back in that 95, 96 range, or we'll say touch it. He touched it a couple times. He wasn't sitting there. But, if you can sit 93 comfortably and then touch 95, 96 here and there with 2 strikes, I'd say that play in the big leagues a little bit.
Especially as a left-handed pitcher.
Yeah.
And you look at what he did yesterday, and then he gets gets outrighted back to AAA right after the game. He was the 27th man. You knew that was going to happen. He's going to get another opportunity in this rotation. Probably the next time through, he can come up and make another start for them. And how much does it mean for this? Because Cade Povich, in what was supposed to be game 1 of the doubleheader on Friday, he gives you 5 innings of 1-run ball, leaves with a 2-1 lead. He struck out I think it was 8 batters in that game. Cade
in
Povich,
the 6th, right? 2-1 in the 6th, and we lost 19-5.
Oh my God, man! And that's why I said,
how does that happen?
The bullpen gives up 18 runs. We'll get into that.
Oh my goodness!
You got a lefty on Friday going in Cade Povich, who gives you 5 innings of 1-run ball, and honestly, he probably would have gotten deeper into the game if it wasn't for that 28 pitch first inning, a 10 pitch at bat.
Yeah,
to Evers, where he gets a strikeout, but then gives up a hit, a walk, and then it takes him 28 pitches to get through the first. Has some other long at bats later in the game, and he also struck out a good bit, which is going to bring that pitch count up higher also.
Yeah.
But you have that lefty in your rotation, then you have a Trevor Rogers who goes out there, gives you 6 1/3 of 2-hit shutout ball with, again, no walks, which is incredibly important. Shows that he's locating his pitches. You add that to Tomoyuki Sagano. Hopefully Eflin gets things going in the right direction here. Do you start to feel a little bit better about your rotation? And I guess on top of that, how many good starts do you need to see from Trevor Rogers to make you a believer? Because even after the good one, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, Trevor Rogers is back. It's 1 start.
I'd say 4. If you gave me 4 quality outings, I'd start to change the tune a little bit. I still think he's going to be pretty decent. The term decent for us nowadays is used loosely now compared to what we've seen all year. But if you come in and give us, even if it's just below a 4 ERA, or we'll even say like a 4.15. I mean, right now, that's pretty good for us. What I thought was most impressive between the two of those, Povich and Rogers both, heading into this series, Boston was hitting .314 against lefties. And they were the second best team. So this is just in May. So from May 1st to May 23rd, they were hitting .314 against lefties. So, I mean, they were really seeing the ball against lefties. And then for the season, hitting .280. So, and you had, arguably 2, what's the term I'm looking for? Maybe inexperienced lefties going against them. And they commanded the zone. And they looked every bit of what we wanted out of both of those guys. I'm going to sit here and tell you right now, I was thoroughly impressed with both of them, considering how good Boston has been against left-handed pitching this year. Kind of seeing how good they were when Soto came in the game. But God, I'll be dead honest with you. It ain't hard to hit 97. That's just straight as, not even going to say the word I want to say, but when it's just straight like that, it's very easy to hit. And they, that was the difference between Povich and Rogers. They were moving the ball. It wasn't just straight as an arrow at 97. I mean, they were throwing less than 97, effective in getting more outs than Soto, because Soto just throws it right down the middle or just throws it dead straight. Rogers had a little bit of run to the ball, and Povich has that natural little bit run to it. The changeup was working really good. I mean, it was impressive considering how good Boston's been this year.
Yeah, it was not, especially when you look at, what Boston did when Povich left the game was just unreal. And you look at what Boston has been doing as a whole offensively last year and this year, they're always going to put up runs. And to go out there and have 2 starters who you're not expecting a lot out of, shut them down. And as you said, a team that's in .314 this month against left-handed pitching and .280 on the season, to have 2 lefties come out there and shut them down. If only Gregory Soto could have done the same thing. Maybe we're talking about a little bit even better of a series here. We're also hyped up a little bit about a split with a 500 ball club. It is a division opponent. It is on the road. It is, even if things are going really good, splitting on the road with Boston is still something to be excited about for the most part. Just a little bit better of a series from the Orioles than what we've seen for the last 5-6 weeks of this season. They looked like they had a little bit more life to them. They looked like they were kind of starting to gel a little bit, especially offensively.
Yeah.
It's not like they're. I mean, what did they put up the last? Let's see. You go back to May 17th. They've put up 10,
Well,
20,
I'll tell you right
24.
here, since May 17th, they're the 6th best team in baseball, runners in scoring position with a 330 average.
Yeah, they've been. I think we saw a few games in a row where they had 6 hits with runners in scoring position.
Yeah. Now they were 0 for 6 today. That'll probably bring that down into what, about 290 or something like that, maybe. So, I'm not really sure. But anyway, after today, they'll be 30 for 97. Which, I mean,
that's still over 300.
That was well above what we've seen to produce, to start the season. But even in general, not even runners in scoring position, just hitting coming into today. Now, today did drop them down, I think, to 255. But going into the ball game today, they were hitting 272 as a team, which was 8th best in baseball. 255 will probably drop them. It depends on what other people do. 255 is going to drop them down to about 14th. But last week when we talked, we were looking at a team that was between 24th and 26th. So as hard as I am right now on the pitching and hitting coaches, it does seem to feel like things are kind of maybe making a turn for the better here. Whether it be slowly or not, we're looking at a team that's responding to Tony Mansolino.
And that leads me to my next question. Tony Mansolino, look, I haven't been a fan of the things that he's said since he took over. It seems like he hasn't had the confidence. It seems like he's been kind of saying, I'm just trying to figure things out. I'm kind of in a whirlwind, paraphrasing here, of course. And then with Adley Rutschman today, taking that foul ball off the face mask. And you can see that he's blinking a lot. He looks a little woozy, and nobody comes out to check on him, right? Nobody comes out to check on him. And it was just like what I saw last year with Kyle Bradish when he's like, and I know that he always did the thing with his arm. But to me, that looked even more exaggerated last year with Kyle Bradish, and nobody came out to check on him. And then he ends up having to have Tommy John surgery, which he probably should have had anyway, but hindsight's 2020. How do you think Tony Mansolino is doing as a first-time manager? And did you see what I saw today with nobody coming out? Did you wonder the same thing? How are you just going to not check on your guy? Like, the umpire is giving him time. He clearly is woozy from this. Did you have an issue with that? Did you notice that?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of weird. I mean, normally a trainer would just run right out anyway. Brian Ebel always used to, at least. I mean, it didn't even matter if he was told to or not. Like, he was just there making his way towards you, just to see. I thought that was kind of weird. That's not a Mansolino thing, I don't think. It might just be the new trainer. I don't even know his name yet. Maybe just kind of taking his time and seeing what happens there. All of that grows with experience. I mean, you got to remember, he just replaced Ebel, last year? Maybe the year before?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was last year. So all that kind of stuff will come with experience. I'm sure they'll see this today. They'll go back and watch it on tape and be like, I kind of screwed that up. I probably should have went out there a little sooner. But hopefully, at least. I do see some people commenting on here that we need to read comments a little bit more because they're awesome. We'll shout out Joe Radke. Joe Radke says, if Zach could read the comments on Paul's show, because we are awesome. And then we got a couple guys in here. Joe asked a good question here. We'll touch on some of these real quick. Will they move off Soto with some of the arms in the minors with the state of the season? I think so. I don't know. I don't think Soto finishes the season. Do you?
I can't imagine. You know what, though? I was shocked that after what happened on Friday,
came right back today.
You saw Soto in game 1 yesterday.
Yeah.
And Dominguez in game 2. And of course, Dominguez immediately gives up a home run. And I tweeted yesterday, or posted, or whatever the hell you call it, on X. I said, if the Orioles don't score in the top half of the 10th, this ball game's over, because there is not a chance that Soto doesn't let that runner score. Mm-hmm. 4 pitches. It took 4 pitches for him. And why you're allowing him to pitch to Rafael Devers with a runner on base. And that's
Didn't
another
understand
comment. And that's another comment that Mansolino said. He said we didn't want to put him on, and then you have Ref Snyder coming up, and
Gets
things
messy.
could get messy there. That run doesn't count.
Yeah.
Only the runner on second counts. Set up the double. You've got an out.
Right.
Set up the double play, and hopefully you live to see another inning. But
Yeah.
why are you worrying about the runner on first? Who the hell cares?
I'll be completely honest with you. I don't think he meant it like that. I think his inexperience speaking to the media took over there. And he I guarantee he went back after and was like, shit, I did not mean it like that. I think he probably wanted to. I don't know if I don't want to say he wasn't allowed to. I think their computer spreadsheets probably tell them don't do that.
Well, because they don't want Ref Snyder pinch hitting and Soto facing the righty, which
Who cares?
Exactly. At the end of the day, who cares? You let Ref Snyder beat you. Okay, it's Rob Ref Snyder.
Right. I'd rather him beat me than Devers.
Most famous for knocking Melanie Newman off of her stool the other day.
Right.
Like Rafael Devers is the best third baseman in the league, he doesn't play third base anymore. One of the best hitters in the league. That's the guy you can't let beat you, and that's the exact guy. It's like pitching to Bobby Witt in the playoffs with a go-ahead run on in scoring position.
Yeah, guy was hitting 430 or something this month. He's just tearing the cover off the ball.
I think he leads the league.
He didn't hit it hard, but he hit it in the right spot.
Mm-hmm. Which is even worse because if you hit it hard, maybe you have a play at the plate.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think it's just that all crumbles together with Mansolino's inexperience. And but you and I talked about this before. If they did move on from Brandon Hyde, like there's just not enough experience on that bench right now to really know what to do in these crucial situations. I mean, French has only been in the big leagues for 2 years in that role. Actually, no, was he? Maybe we'll say 3. Yeah, he was a pitching coach in Atlanta, so we'll say 3 or 4. But he's never made like that kind of call. Chirinos and Buck, they know what to do, right? But they didn't. That there's the inexperience in that situation. And then Mansolino, same thing, minor league experience. It kind of all compounded as once. Hopefully they're all growing together. I mean, it seems like the team's kind of coming together and rallying around Tony's energy. I think they'll start to pick it up. I do think they'll probably hire somebody full-time prior to everything starting to click. But it depends. I mean, look, they keep playing well.
You think they're bringing in their next full-time manager this season?
I think they're going to look. And I almost honestly, I mean, listening to Mike's comments the other day, I think he understands that he's on the line here. His job's on the line, and I think he's going to try and push that quickly. I don't think he wants to wait around. I think he understands that if he waits and this doesn't work in the beginning of 26, then it's a big problem. If you get somebody in now and the team doesn't respond to him, or Mike and this new coach don't respond, he's got a little bit of time to make another move rather than it being too late and then everybody's out the door. I think he knows that his number's on speed dial here. So,
all right, before we get to that, I want to remind everybody, if you or a loved one has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit helpmygamblingproblem.org for free confidential services. That's 1-800-GAMBLER or call 1-800-GAMBLER for free confidential service. Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit helpmygamblingproblem.org for free confidential services. Boy, that was a tongue twister for some reason. Like I haven't been reading it for 6 years. I want to know who you think should be the next Orioles manager. Do you have a name in mind? Is there somebody that you're like, man, that guy should be here? I keep going back to David Ross or Mark DeRosa. Mark DeRosa's never managed at the big league level.
I don't think either one of them want to work with Mike Elias, though. They want full control. They don't want to be handed a spreadsheet and say, oh, hey, make this line up.
Well, then aren't you repeating the same mistakes if you hire another guy like that? Because you're not going to hire any manager with experience if that's how you're going to run things. And I don't think that you can. And furthermore, if that's how Elias has been running it since he's been here, and we all have reason to believe that that's the case, then why is he still here? He can't. And should he even be allowed to have the trade deadline? Should Michael, if somebody said to me that they think Mike Elias gets fired at the end of the year, well, then why not fire him right now? Get your guy in place or your woman in place and allow them to have the deadline to build this team the way that they want to. You can't have another puppet in the dugout, and you can't have a guy running things at the deadline if he's not going to be here at the end of the season.
It's a Dan Duquette situation all over again. Dan Duquette had 1 foot out the door. His was willingly out the door. So he did nothing in the draft to improve the team that well. He didn't do anything at the deadline. Mike might not be voluntarily 1 foot out the door, but like if you know it, like you could screw it all up anyway. I mean, why put that much effort into it? I don't think that would be the case, but I mean, you never know. Hold on.
I could hear it coming down down the stairs.
He get a little excited.
Yeah, I could hear the squeak toy coming from the distance.
Hey Ryan, take him out of here, please. But yeah, I mean, I've seen people talk about Skip Schumacher going through some of the comments. Ryan, come on, get out. And
the joys of having, you're still on mute, my friend. The joys of having kids and a new puppy, right?
Get out of here. Come on.
Be careful with that shoulder, man. Throwing those things out the door.
Already hurts. Anyway, I mean, should you? I don't think you can. Say you bring a new GM in who really doesn't know your prospects, and then you want him to handle your trades. Like, Mike values certain guys a certain way, but you give somebody like 6 weeks that really doesn't know. Like, I've seen people in the comments here talk about Braxton Bragg and about giving him a shot here shortly. You get somebody in here, and then like another GM who's been scouting Bragg for God knows how long is like, hey, I'll give you so and so for Braxton Bragg. And then this guy's like, oh, yeah, this might be a really good deal. And now all of a sudden, like, you've got a future star that you just traded away, because this guy just doesn't know how good Bragg could be. And it's little things like that I'd be really, really cautious with. I feel like if you bring in a new GM before the deadline, you shouldn't make any moves at all. Other than maybe like a really obvious one for like, trading Cedric Mullins or something like that, or Ryan Mountcastle, but trading prospects away, like trying to get the team better, that's a mistake waiting to happen, in my opinion, just because they just don't know enough.
Yeah, no, I can see the argument for that side of things. I can see that. I don't know how. I mean, we can all agree that Mike Elias hasn't done a great job at the deadline. 2022, he trades away the most popular player in Trey Mancini and an all-star closer in Jorge Lopez. Now you look, Jorge Lopez has not been the same pitcher since, and Trey Mancini is toiling away at AAA right now. And look, he's playing well. He's having a great season at AAA for Arizona. I'm actually surprised that he hasn't ended up on a big league roster somewhere. But neither one of those guys are either playing well or even in the league at this point. Then you look at what he did in 2023. He trades, what was his name? Cesar Prieto. And who was the other pitcher?
Showalter.
Showalter and Drew Rom.
Yeah.
Right?
Both are performing well right now.
Yeah, and he traded them for
Flaherty.
Jack Flaherty, who sucked.
I don't think that was a bad move by any means. Jack just sucked. Yeah, I think he was the right guy for the situation. It just didn't work out, and sometimes that happens. But I mean, that was a good arm. Like to be able to pull that off. Like Jack was a really good arm that coulda and shoulda helped this team, just didn't.
Right. Well, and he was, and it seemed like it became kind of a little bit of a head case this year. Flaherty 2-6 with a 4.39 ERA and 10 starts after going back to the Tigers. Let's see what he's done the last few games.
But you know what? Credit Mike Elias for not getting too desperate to go and re-sign him again, like a lot of people wanted.
Oh, exactly. I mean, and look, it's not like we're sitting here saying that Mike Elias is a terrible GM. It's just how badly he has fumbled some deadlines. The Eflin move was a nice piece last year, but
Yeah.
Austin Slater and Eloy Jimenez and trading Stowers and Norby for Trevor Rogers. Now, look, if Trevor Rogers looks the rest of the season like he did yesterday, then we start rethinking that trade. But when he had an ERA pushing 8 and 4 starts before getting demoted, then he gets injured and he misses basically the first 2 months of the season this year. Meanwhile, Sowers is down there hitting in Miami, hitting 300 with 10 home runs and 35 RBI the first 2 months of the season. Yeah, it looks pretty freaking awful. It makes me nervous to give Mike Elias another trade deadline, seeing what he's done with the last 3 when the Orioles were actually in contention, and knowing that he might not be here at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I think a lot of blame needs to go on his appointed coaches too. You know, in 22 and 23, when he brought some of these projects in, they worked out. Like Cano had an 11 ERA, and Povich was just kind of decent. Like they were ready to just get rid of those guys, and they came in here, and Chris Holt and Darren Holmes revamped Yunier Cano into a premier bullpen arm. And not so much this year, but you got some really quality years out of Cano and some quality outings, and that's a credit there. And then they kind of let those guys go, and and then they take on these same kind of projects, and I don't think Drew French is on that level of getting the most out of these guys like Chris Holt did. And now look, Chris Holt is in Boston, and I get it. And it's just, this is the weird part of the game, like, because Chris Holt was really effective here, and it was instrumental in turning around Perez and Batista and Danny Coulombe, Yunier Cano. Like, his resume for the Orioles was really good. And now he goes to Boston, and they have one of the worst bullpens in the game. So it's like things just worked here for him, and now they're not. And it's almost the same as Drew French. They worked in Atlanta, and now they're not. So it's like that's a Mike Elias thing there. That's what I get mad at him about, is trying to stick with the same I don't know, like
the blueprint, the same recipe.
The same blueprint. Yeah, that's a great word to say there. Same blueprint. He's stuck with Ashy. Tommy Joseph has the same kind of thought process. Where did you get better? With that's what I don't like about him. The moves, I don't want to say it's a give and take thing. Yeah, obviously you want him to be really good at that part of the job. It sucks that he's not yet, but how good is the draft, and how good has the international signings been? And we're not seeing it just yet, but we will. Like, we didn't go from a team that had the number 1 overall farm system to they're all here to now, like, no one talks about the farm system anymore. No, it's still retooled and still reloading, and there's still guys to talk about. Sure, maybe they're not in the top 100, but Mike has really set this franchise up for a long time. I mean, how many freaking catchers that we have that are just demolishing the ball? There's one at every single level. Every single level, there's a catcher demolishing the ball. How many good outfielders do we have? I mean, you got O'Verne, Honeycutt, Beavers, Fabian. If Hodo figures it out, that's a guy you can throw into the mix there. Bradfield, God, like, he's already back crushing the ball at Double-A. Like, there's just so many talented players. Like, Griffo Farrell looks really good on the diamond right now. And that's how you continue to win for years. Because I think we all know we're not re-signing all the guys we have right now.
Sure.
And people are going to have to come to terms with that. Like, right now, I would say, they've got other players to fill those roles. Maybe not as good, but who knows? I mean, their time will come someday either. But it's a hit or miss thing with Mike. It's like he's really, really good in this section here, and it's like this section over here. We can say because Zach Eflin was good. I felt like Patrick Riley for Billy Cook was really, really under the radar too, and I really wanted Patrick Riley to make a bump this year, because it seems like Mike's kind of pushing some guys this year so far. And like Adit just said, Orioles are projected to sign one of the supposed top 10 international prospects next year for $2.3 million. I believe Adit, correct me if I'm wrong, he's a shortstop. But like that's an area that we screwed up on for so long, and Mike Elias was instrumental in flipping Basayo from the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
What if you got back to another Dan Duquette who just didn't really care about the international market anymore? Then what? Like, okay, maybe he's really good at acquiring guys, but then like, I don't want to compare him to Cashman, but that's kind of what Cashman does. Cashman has that Yankees name around him to sign some guys, but like, does he really put the effort in the draft and whatnot? Like, are they really developing guys, guy after guy after guy? Like, cool, they developed Volpe. I think you and I can agree that Volpe's not that good.
No.
That was like their prize.
They always talk about how great he is defensively, but every time the Orioles play the Yankees, he makes a big error late in the game, late in a close game.
Yeah.
Trying to do something too fast. Look, and it's kind of, it's a little unfair to Mike Elias. You look at everything that he's done to rebuild this franchise, and they were the laughing stock of baseball for 14 years. Then they get good for 5 years, and then they're the laughing stock of baseball again for 6 years. Now they're good again, right? They're good again for 3 years, and he makes a mistake. He doesn't sign the right pitchers this offseason. The players that he does sign, $73 million to have a negative WAR out of the free agents that he signed this past year. And it's like when Jorge Mateo makes an error. Jorge Mateo is the one player on the entire team that's not allowed to make an error because he gives you nothing offensively. So when he makes an error, it's like, well, then why the hell are you even here? Mike Elias made a mistake, and he can't make a mistake because his mistakes impact the entire season. The entire season is flushed down the shitter right now. There's 18-34. Going into today, they had the worst. After game 1 yesterday, they had the worst record in the American League.
Yeah,
the worst record in the American League, worse than the White Sox who come to town next weekend.
I tell you what. I mean, look, St. Louis just swept Arizona. I mean, they're on a roll.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can find a way to take 2 out of 3 out of them, I'm gonna tell you right now that the whole season changes.
And so that leads me to another thing. Morgan Adsit posted right before the show. She said, do you think the Orioles have a run in them to save their season? And I want to know, what does saving their season look like?
Making the playoffs.
You think so? Because I think that's so out of the realm of possibility at this point. I mean, you're talking about a team that legitimately right now they're 16 games below 500. They have to win. They have to go 32-16 in their next 48 games just to get back to 500.
Yeah,
just to get back.
They're only 10 games out of the wild card, and I shouldn't say only, but look at some of the teams ahead of them. Athletics. Do we really think that they're going to hold the entire season? I think they'll be competitive.
They just lost 11 in a row.
Right. I think they'll be competitive, but I think you can jump them. Toronto, we all know that they're going to fall flat on their face at the end of the year. They always do.
And the Orioles have split with them so far this year.
Right. The Angels, same kind of thing, right? They've been 8-2 late. They've been a little hot. They're not going to finish this good. Texas, I think, is just fine. Boston ahead of them. You keep winning ball games against Boston, you're going to be just fine. Tampa Bay, I don't think we've played Tampa Bay yet, have we?
Nope.
So they're 500.
And I don't know how they're any good.
Right. They're 500. And then you've got the Astros, who are probably going to be right there. But in the wild card right now, you got the Guardians, Twins, and Royals, right? Pretty sure the Twins are going to fall on their face. They do every single year. Guardians, I don't think they have enough hitting. I really don't. They're the only playoff team right now between the two leagues with a negative run differential. And that's with Kansas City only having a +2, but Cleveland's a -11. Everyone else is like, it's like the worst. The other worst one that I see is Seattle at +19, which I think we all could agree that we probably see that coming. They just don't have any offense either. I think there's a way it's going to take a straight up dogfight to do it.
Mm-hmm.
This roster's talented enough to do it if the pitching can hold up. And that's all it's going to come down to, if the pitching can hold up.
So
is it
every time
I'm
they
not
win
saying
a ball
there's
game,
a 80% chance here. I'm not saying that. It's barely possible, but it's possible. And I think if they get a little run here, say if you take 2 out of 3 from St. Louis and then you sweep the White Sox, right? You just took 5 out of 6, and all of a sudden you're sitting at what, 23-34?
Yeah.
At that point you'll be sitting at about 7 games out of the wild card, which is where you and I said, will we be comfortable trying to be buyers at the deadline? Like, it's not that far out of reach yet.
It's not.
But you got to put a run together quickly.
And Armando says it's still mathematically possible the Orioles could save the season. Well, yeah, Armando, it's May 25th. Of course, the White Sox set the modern record for worst record in baseball last year, and they weren't eliminated till August.
They're only 11.5 out of the wild card.
Yeah, it's still mathematically possible. It will be for the bulk of the season. It's just every time the Orioles win a game, we kind of convince ourselves that, oh, this is the beginning of the turnaround. We're back. We're back. Tell everyone the O's are coming, or whatever the hell it is that we back up in here. Whatever the meme is, man. It's late and I'm tired, so shut up. But like legitimately, every time they win, we tell ourselves, oh, well, if they go and they do this, at the end of April when the Orioles were 10-17, we were like, if they go 16-11, 17-10 in May, they're right back in this thing. They're 6-15 in May. They're 6-15 in May, and it's the weakest their schedule is going to be.
Yeah.
So trust me, everything in me wants to say that this team is going to get back in this thing. And can you imagine how amazing this summer is going to be if they do? If they do get back into this, like this summer is going to be, it's going to be like as shitty as we feel about this team and have for the bulk of this season to start, the bulk of the first 2 months of the season, as crappy as we feel about this, how amazing are we going to feel if they turn it around and they're in contention in August and September? We're going to feel like this is the best season of our lives because of big of a turnaround.
Yeah, I'm looking at June right now, and it's competitive, but it's everybody ahead of them. And so you get done with the White Sox, you're on the road for Seattle and Sacramento, right? 6 games out there. You go 4-2, okay, you probably just leapfrogged the Athletics right there. Then you come home and you've got the Tigers and Angels back to back. I'd say split that, and you probably leapfrog the Angels at that point. Now you're sitting 6 games out of the wild card at this point, and then you go on the road for Tampa and New York for 7 games there.
Yeah,
go 4-3, go 5-2. Now you're right in the thick of it. Then you come home with Texas and Tampa again at home for 6. Like, everyone ahead of you right now that you need to leapfrog is you're playing them in June. So get hot in June, and anything can happen. This was supposed to be our month, and this would have set us up really nicely in June.
Yeah.
Really nicely. But I don't want to say that they have a shot, but if you want to take it, it's right now. Go 5-2. Yeah, is it 6-game series between the Cardinals and White Sox? Yeah.
Yeah.
Go 4-2. Go 4-2 in those 2 series. Get yourself back. Get a little bit of momentum, and then go on that road trip to Seattle. I think you should be able to take 2 out of 3 from Seattle. I definitely think you should be able to take 2 out of 3 from the Athletics. I don't know what the hell to call them anymore.
Just call them the Athletics, the A's.
Yeah,
whatever.
It's is it impossible? No. Is it likely? No. But we've seen stranger things happen in a baseball season before. That's why I'm still holding on to that little bit of glimmer.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'll hold on to it. Every time I did this in 2018. Before we continue, Joe Radke. Yeah, it's 9 p.m. I get up at 4:30 every morning. I'm 40 years old with a 16-month-old, and I work 3 jobs. 9 p.m. on a Sunday night is late when my wife worked all weekend, and I've had my daughter telling me it's 9 p.m., Paul. What time do you go to
are you
bed?
off tomorrow?
Yeah, but my wife works, so I've got a 16-month-old who will probably be up at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
That's not off. My
Yeah.
days off, I still like Sundays are like my only true day off, and I have to do this show. And on the days that my wife the Sundays that my wife works, have my daughter all day. I don't even get time to really to prep for the show, and then I just hop on here. So, 9 p.m. 9 p.m. is late, man. Leave me alone. Um, look, in 2018, I convinced. I think I said this on the show last year. At some point, they were last week. At some point, they were 17-34 in 2018, and I was like, they could go 34-17 in their next 51 games, and then if they go 34-17 in the 51 games after that, now we're looking at a situation where the Orioles are in the playoffs, and they won 47 games. I've watched a lot of good baseball with the Orioles, even more bad baseball, and like, I'm just tired of having my heart broken. You know what I mean? Like, it's
fair.
still, though, it still just boggles my mind that this team is this bad.
Yeah.
It like the games that they played in game 2 yesterday and the game today, that's who I believe this team should be. Those types of wins. That's who I believe this team should be.
I think everybody felt that way.
The game where Cade Povich, and I still haven't wrapped my brain around it, leaves the game. The Orioles are in the bottom of the 6th inning, leading a ball game 2-1, that they ultimately end up losing 19-5. That's got to be some kind of record. I mean,
I don't think you're wrong.
Like, what the hell? Like, I left work. I left my house to go to the restaurant on Friday, and somebody had just hit a home run. It may have been Devers. It just hit a home run to make it. It was 8-3 when I got in the car, and they hit a home run to make it 11-3. When I got to the restaurant and looked up at the TV, it was 19-5.
Yeah, Emmanuel Rivera lit up runs real quick.
Like,
real quick.
And Joe, I know you're just messing around. I'm messing back with you. No big deal. Like, that was, to me, that was worse than 24-2, because that's a game where you had Cedric Mullins up in the top of the 8th inning as the tying run. Now, and it was, did you see that at bat by Cedric Mullins?
I might not have.
He struck out on 5 pitches. Not one of them was close to the strike zone.
Oh, yeah. I've seen people talking about it. I didn't see the at-bat myself, no.
It was in my opinion, it was the worst at-bat any Oriole has had this entire season. Given the situation where he's either the tying or the go-ahead run in a close ball game, and for him to look the way he did in that at-bat, it was the worst at-bat I've seen all year. Now, somebody said that Gunner's at-bat in game 1 yesterday with the go-ahead run on second base in the 10th was pretty atrocious. I didn't see it, but I heard that it wasn't even
competitive. I remember
that one. Apparently, like, he swung at strike 3 and it was nowhere close, and like it was just awful. I heard that bat was pretty bad. I missed that.
He struggles a little bit late in game.
He struggles.
He thinks too much. He thinks too damn much.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think he puts too much pressure on himself. He expects to be the guy to put the team on his back. But when you overthink it instead of just staying within yourself and playing your game, and that's baseball. You know what I mean? How many times do we have? It's so weird to me when I talk about myself playing, but I still play the game. You know what I mean? And you still face the same situations regardless of what level you're at. I came up in a game where my team was down by 3 runs. The bases were loaded, and I was hitting really well all game. And I swung at 2 pitches that were up here. And they weren't pitches, like, the guy wasn't throwing anything I couldn't handle. I ended up walking with the bases loaded in that at bat, but I swung at 2 pitches that I had no business swinging at because I was trying to do too much. I was trying to smash. I also had my new torpedo bat. I wanted to see if I could hit the ball 500 feet, but I didn't stay within myself and swung at pitches I had no chance of doing anything with. It happens to everybody when you play the game. That's just the game of baseball. But it's Gunner has to be able to rise above that and be the dude that we know him to be. And so far in his young career, he has struggled. What did you see? Who said what? Because you just had a weird reaction.
I'm just on Fangraphs clicking around, and I was trying to look up information for my next question for you. And shockingly, since the 17th, we are the third best team in baseball against left-handed pitching.
Since when?
Since May 17th, we are hitting 318. We're tied with the Angels for the second best overall average in baseball versus left-handed pitching.
So we do have to take small sample sizes.
Yeah. But now that I say that, I'll just go right into my question. Do you think the Orioles are feeding off Tony Mansolino, but the pitching has been absolutely piss poor, even worse, in my opinion, since the 17th, but they're winning, they're playing competitive ball. Do you think they're buying in?
No. I think they know he's not going to be here. So I don't think it has anything to do with him. I think it has everything to do with they were so bad they got their manager fired.
Yeah.
I think it has everything to do with it. They look at at how poorly they've played this year, and every single one of those guys has to look in the mirror and say, I didn't do enough and I got my guy fired. Because I do believe a lot of those guys, like, I thought that maybe he lost the clubhouse despite what beat writers were saying, despite what Mike Elias was saying, and despite what the players were saying. I thought he lost the clubhouse. Those guys were upset that Brandon Hyde got fired. And so I think they all had to look in the mirror and say, I failed and got my guy fired. So, and not to mention the fact that at some point, the offense was going to have to turn it around. These guys
this
aren't.
Much?
I mean, they're scoring like 4 runs a game. You know, we were
more than they were.
I mean, we watched them for three consecutive weeks score like 3.7 runs per game. You know, and so they scored 6, and they scored 4, they scored 4, then they scored 2, then they scored 8, then they scored 5, like 3 games in a row. You know, so they're putting the bat on the ball more now. They're collecting more hits with runners in scoring position. You're doing they're much more. They're seeing more pitches. They're working more counts. Ben McDonald alluded to it in the game today. I think he said that, I can't remember since when, but they've seen more pitches than. Excuse me. I think he said, thank you. I think he said they've seen more pitches than any other team in baseball, maybe this month. Their approach is better. They're working better counts, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think it has anything to do with Tony Mansolino. I think it's like it was a culture shock for them, Brandon Hyde fired, and they're like, dude, we got to do our jobs here. Like, nobody's going to do this for us. Let's step it up. It just so happens that Gregory Soto and Jason Dominguez, the Gregory Soto and Sir Anthony Dominguez exist in the world today.
And Perez.
You know, and Perez.
Used to exist.
He doesn't exist anymore. He committed career suicide with the way he pitched today.
Yeah.
I mean, this season. I want to get to that. Would love to know, what do you do with Gregory Soto and Sir Anthony Dominguez? Do they make it to the end of the season? I don't see how they can. I have not seen Soto come in and not pitch like crap in like a month. Dominguez, I thought Dominguez had pitched a little bit better. He came into last night's save situation with a 6.06 ERA.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these guys, and they're getting high leverage situations. Zach, there has got to be 2 pitchers in your minor leagues that are better than these guys. It can come up here and get dudes out. Why doesn't Colin Selby stick around?
Yeah, I don't know. And it's good that you bring that up. So I've seen Cameron Weston's name. I've seen Braxton Bragg's name all in the comments here tonight. I think we see them at some point. The thing you just really got to be careful with a young guy is to blow their confidence open. You know, if they come up, we all want to see them, right? We all want to see the next good arm come up through the system. But if they come up and get blown open because they're just so amped up and can't locate and leave a couple balls over the middle of the plate, like Brandon Young did, and then especially in a bullpen situation, you're coming in for 1 inning and all of a sudden maybe you leave 2 balls over the plate, just like Brandon Young did, and they get blasted out of here. Like, that's demoralizing for a young guy. And when I say young guy, I'm saying guys that are like very fresh to AA, AAA this year. And if you push the envelope too fast, you could blow the whole season for them.
Well, but so let me ask you this. Let me ask you this though. You blow the confidence of 1 player, 2 players. aren't you blowing the confidence of your entire roster that just scratched and crawled to get you, into the late innings with a lead? And then you
Yes,
watch guys like Soto and Dominguez come in and just shit it away every time they come in. You're
100%. But it doesn't make it any better when you bring in a young guy and he does it too.
Yeah, but the young guys are resilient. They can bounce back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, not that. I guess it's the same thing for the roster. They can bounce back, and they've already faced all the crap sandwiches that they're going to face this year.
Why haven't they signed David Robertson?
I have to believe he doesn't want to pitch. How would he?
I know
not,
Philly hauled him too. Like, I don't look, if he wants $11-12 million, give it to him. Like,
Yeah.
I know it's not my money to sit here and say that with, but he's better than Dominguez and Soto and Perez was. You know, you don't have to have some guy that nobody's ever heard of before because he's pitching decent in AAA. Like, he's a proven guy. Like, imagine having Cano, Kittredge, Robertson, Batista.
Mm-hmm.
I would feel pretty confident in that.
And you left
and
out
if one
Baker
of them were down, yeah, Baker. And if one of them was down, you know, you've got 4 really, really good guys that you could turn to. If one guy's down and he has to miss a night or something like that, like I just that's the part that I don't understand. Now, I'm sure that we have talked about him. I'm sure that we have, or talked to him. I mean, and I know the Phillies did too. So yes, I agree with you. I think something is going on. I don't know what, but if it's money, find a way to get it done. God dang, because he really could help this baseball team. He could help a lot of baseball teams.
Maybe it's a situation where the Phillies were like, "Hey, we need you now," and he's like, "I'm not ready. I'm not trying to pitch till after the All-Star break." Maybe at his age,
yeah,
he's the Roger Clemens of relief pitchers. You know, where he's just like, I only want to pitch when I want to pitch, and that's probably going to be the second half for a contender. Let's see how the cards fall when we get to July. You know,
that's fair.
Yeah, but I have to believe it's either that or he just doesn't want to pitch at all. Otherwise, he'd be pitching right now. There's no way he wouldn't be, especially when you see how bad relief pitching has been across the board. Here's something I want to ask you. They came out with the all-century team for the last 25 years, right? Or the all-quarter century team.
Mm-hmm. And what was that based off of?
I don't know. You mean like it's basically for just from 2020 to 2000 to 2025, who would be on your roster? So I'll tell you that my outfield would obviously be Bonds, Trout, Judge, Ohtani, DH. Infield, I think you have to have Pujols at first base. Second base, I don't know who you take. People would say Robinson Cano. What Brian Roberts did from 2003 to 2009, he was one of the best players in the game at that position. Doubles monster, he stole a ton of bases. Third base, you can't go wrong with either Manny or Nolan Arenado. See, at shortstop, would it be A-Rod? Because A-Rod had like the most talent, but he was also one of the biggest dickbags that's ever played the game of baseball.
Yeah.
So I chose Nomar because Nomar was on a Hall of Fame trajectory before all the injuries happened. Catcher, if you choose Molina or you choose Salvador Perez or you choose Buster Posey, you're not going to miss there. And I think that we could all agree that your starting pitchers would be some kind of order of Scherzer, Kershaw, Verlander, and then the last 2 spots. I'd like to know what your relief core would look like.
Oof. Man, you're asking me relief, huh? I don't even think I paid attention to relief pitchers back then.
Well, I mean,
I think you would have to go
2000 to 2025.
Yeah, I think you would have to. God, I forget his name. He pitched for us too. We got him at the end of his career. Was it Rodriguez?
Who?
No, it wasn't Fernando Rodney. It was the other one.
Oh no, it was Francisco Rodriguez.
Francisco, yeah.
K-Rod.
K-Rod.
I forgot about him.
Yeah, I think you have to include him, man.
I put Eric Gagne on mine.
Gagne, yeah.
Because I mean, sure. you have to exclude steroids. Because I mean,
yeah,
Gagne would make mine.
Would you
Andrew
put
Miller
Jim Johnson in there?
No.
How about Zach Britton then?
Oh, Zach Britton. Zach Britton to this day has the greatest season a relief pitcher has ever had in the history of the game. Anybody who says that he doesn't,
I'd put Zach over Andrew Miller.
Well, I have Andrew Miller in mind. I would flip flop him.
If you had to pick one.
If you had to pick one, yeah, I would take Britt, but Andrew Miller as a setup man was absolutely phenomenal. Andrew Miller's on my in there. Mariano Rivera's my closer. Zach Britton's in there for me. Eric Gagne. I have David Robertson in there. And
Really?
it's also Well, it's also because I also believe Aroldis Chapman to be one of the biggest dickbags that's ever played the game of baseball, and so I can't, in good conscience, put him on my team. What
about Kenley Jansen?
I don't know,
just because he had so many good years in L.A.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't know why I said like Christopher Walken, but I don't know. I feel like it's easy to have a good year in L.A. It's also really easy to get hurt playing in L.A. apparently, but I don't know. I just Kenley Jansen never struck me as a guy that was just dominant. I always felt like he struggled to find the strike zone, and you'd always see him give some kind of like a big home run. It was like watching Sir Anthony. For me, watching him was like watching Sir Anthony Dominguez close out games last year. Last year, Dominguez was 9 for 10 in save situations for the Orioles, but it seemed like he gave up a home run every time he came in. And that's kind of how I felt about Kenley Jansen.
What about Kimbrel?
I was about to say Craig Kimbrel. Craig Kimbrel should have made my list, and he didn't.
Yeah. I mean, he had a higher WAR than K-Rod.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Craig Kimbrel is an all-timer until the last couple seasons.
Yeah.
He's in Atlanta's minor league system right now.
How did we not say Billy Wagner?
I did. Billy Wagner was in
okay.
Billy Wagner was on.
Here's another one that I don't think either one of us thought about. Joe Nathan.
Oh, Joe Nathan.
25 WAR, hit a career 2.72 ERA with 922 strikeouts.
How many saves?
376.
Ooh, 376 saves, man. He was legitimately like 2 seasons away from having a legitimate case for the
Billy
Hall
Wagner
of Fame.
only had 321.
I think I may have taken Trevor Hoffman and not Billy Wagner.
Hoffman is a good choice too.
Yeah. Man, Craig Kimbrel's baseball reference picture is him in a I guess because it's the most recent team he played for.
Interesting.
It's him in an Orioles
they
hat.
have Darren O'Day ranked 14th all time in the 21st century.
O'Day made my team. O'Day made my roster.
They had Koji at 16.
Koji was really good. You go back and look at Darren O'Day.
They have Trevor Hoffman at 23.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, go back and look at what Darren O'Day did in his career. Like what
I know.
From the moment that he got to the Orioles, I think he had one season where his ERA was like 3.77. Otherwise, it was like 2.60 or less every year.
This has got to be terrible. They have Zach Britton at 44. That's dumb.
Does that include like games?
It's got to include his starting stats.
It has to. It has to. Yeah, Kimbrel's pitching for Gwinnett right now. He's got a 1.69 ERA.
Did you see who hit a walk-off against him the other day?
I did not.
Eloy.
That's awesome.
Shot one in the right field for him for a game winner.
That is awesome. I love that. I don't know why I love it, but I do.
Yeah.
Man. We got to pay another bill here. If you missed anything from Glenn Clark Radio this week, including conversations with Buck Showalter, Tim Kirkchin, Buster Olney, or one of your favorites, Griff O'Farrell, and much more, you can find them all now in the Glenn Clark Radio Week in Review feature at PressBoxOnline.com. And as always, watch or listen to GCR every Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. at PressBoxOnline.com/radio or right here on Facebook and YouTube. So yeah, you mentioned some names that that when I was doing my team, they never even popped into my head, and it just goes to show
it's hard to remember everybody.
It really is, especially relievers. Like I could say, give me your starting 9 right now, and you could rattle off a starting 9 in 30 seconds. You know what I mean? It would be like nothing. You start talking about relief pitch. Hell, give me a starting 5 rotation because there's no doubt that your top 3 are Scherzer, Verlander, and Kershaw, right? Who are you picking before them?
From 2000?
From 2000 to 2025. Like, I'll tell you, Mike Mussina is my favorite pitcher of all time, so he's on my list.
I think I would probably put Garrett Cole in there. Maybe over, who'd you say, top 3?
Kershaw, Scherzer, Verlander.
Are we talking regular season or are we winning a playoff game here?
Just overall.
Because I'm taking Kershaw out if it's a playoff game.
Well, it's just your quarter century team.
Yeah, that's tough to beat there.
There's a couple guys that you're not going to think of who when
Garrett Cole's so good though.
Yeah,
like he's going to go down as one of the best ever. But is he better than those three?
No, he's absolutely not better than those three. Here's somebody you're not.
Isn't that crazy to think about? Like how good they were, and we got to witness that. We grew up with that. Isn't that crazy?
You know who you're not going to think of? Roger Clemens. You're not going to think of Randy Johnson. You're not going to think of Kurt Schilling.
Because they were at the end, right? The end of early 2000s,
I mean, Clemens' final year was 2008. I think Randy Johnson pitched into 2010. You know, Kurt Schilling. I mean, Kurt Schilling was winning Cy Youngs in Arizona and then being a World Series hero in Boston.
I would take Pedro over those top three that you mentioned.
And Pedro was in Boston through 2005, right? Yeah. 2004. I think he went to the Mets after that.
I argue some people sometimes that he's the best ever.
Oh, you can't convince me that Pedro Martinez isn't a top 5 pitcher of all time.
I think he might be the best, considering the era that he pitched in.
Oh my God, what he did in that All-Star game! You look at his. You want to say peak 5 years? It was really like a peak 8 years. I'm like when you look up, it's like last week when we looked up Albert Pujols' numbers, and we were like,
they were incredible.
We were like, oh my God, this guy was no wonder. Yeah. I mean, when your nickname's the Machine, and your last name isn't actually a Machine, like Vidal Machine. You look at 1997, 17-8, 190. 98, 19-7, 289, 99, 23-4, 207, 2000, 18-6, 174, 7-3, 239 and 18 starts in 01, 02, 20-4, 226, 14-4, 222. Then the year that they won the World Series, he had a 3.90 ERA. Then he goes to the Mets and he's 15-8 with a 2.82. Right. He had seasons of WAR at 9, 7.3, 9.8, 11.7 in the year 2000. In the year 2000. You remember that from Conan O'Brien?
That was his stretch there was incredible.
He won 3 Cy Youngs in 4 years. I mean,
right. And with a career in Boston, a career 2.5 ERA.
You take his career 94 through 96. He's very good.
I had no idea he started with the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm. He and his brother.
I had no idea. I always thought Montreal.
Yeah, he and his brother were both with the Dodgers at the beginning of their careers.
That's crazy.
And Ramon was the better pitcher of the two to start.
Wow.
I mean, you look at 92 to 96. He was good. He wasn't great. He was solid. He was a good, solid number 3 pitcher. Then 97 to 2005, he was the best pitcher in baseball. And then he was good again. You know, and because he's older and his career is winding down. But Pedro Martinez, that 1997 to 2005 stretch, so you're talking 9 seasons, he was the best to ever pitch. He was the best pitcher maybe of all time. In that, it was a 9-season stretch.
Chris, he came in second in the MVP in 99.
Mm-hmm.
And then fifth in 2000.
Look at some of these whips. 1, 2, 3. He had a whip in 1999 of .737.
Yeah.
In 31
games.
He had
32 walks. He had 32 walks and 284 Ks. That's incredible.
I mean,
in 217 innings, he had 284 Ks and 32 walks. Wow.
A career
in peak steroid era.
And this is a guy who was what, 5'8", 145 pounds, soaking wet, 5'11", my ass. That's him wearing cleats, standing on the mound. He's 5'11".
That's like when they used to say Brian Roberts was 5'10".
Yeah, Jose Altuve is 5'8". That dude is 5'5" and not an inch taller.
Yep.
But Pedro Martinez was 5'8", 145 pounds, soaking wet, and he's that All-Star game in '99 when he struck out Larkin, Sosa, Bonds, McGuire. Like what he for my money, the best pitcher I've ever seen is
Yeah.
Pedro Martinez. Just like you can talk about Aaron Judge, and you can talk about Shohei Ohtani, you can talk about Albert Pujols. Barry Bonds is the greatest baseball player that ever lived.
Yeah.
What that guy could do all over the baseball field, defensively, offensively, stealing bases, hitting all those home runs. He reached base 376 times in 2003, and he had 373 official at bats.
Mm-hmm.
Barry Bonds, the greatest baseball player that ever lived.
Let me ask you a question. If Mike Trout never got hurt, would he be in that conversation above like Judge and Ohtani and stuff as the best right-handed hitter? Or at least Judge, the best right-handed hitter of our lifetime right now.
That's a big if.
Right.
That's a big, because he was never going to hit 62 home runs in a season, right?
No, but he always would hit 40.
He hit 40,
and he would
45,
hit over 300,
and he'd steal 40 bags. I mean, he's Mickey Mantle, right?
Yeah,
he's Mickey Mantle, except he doesn't switch hit. You look
but he got hurt.
So did Mickey Mantle. That's the thing.
Mean.
Mickey Mantle could be the greatest player of all time if he never got hurt. If he never stepped on that drain in the outfield chasing after that ball early in his career, Mickey Mantle could have been the greatest baseball player that ever lived. And if you look at his numbers side by side with Mike Trout, they're identical. Mm-hmm. He's like Mickey Mantle reincarnated, like legitimately. Yeah. And I think that age almost works out exactly too. Because Mickey Mantle died in 95. And how old's Trout now? Is Trout 30? Trout's in his
32, 33?
Yeah. So like Mike Trout and Mickey Mantle are the same player. They're the same 33. Player with the same issues. The same, like they get hurt and they can't stay healthy. And then man. See, Mike Trout was...
He got hurt again this year, and 9 of his 19 hits were home runs.
Yeah. He was hitting 190, but with 9 home runs.
Yeah. Oh,
man.
We grew up in such a great era. Golly, man.
What? Ken Griffey Jr. would have hit 900 home runs if he never got hurt.
Probably.
I mean, or at least 800. He would have hit 800. I mean, the guy hit 670 home runs, and how much time did he miss in Cincinnati? And he didn't hit a single home run his final season.
Right.
We got to see Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, Tom Brady, Barry Bonds, Ken Griffey Jr., Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani. The time that we're living in is something else, man.
Yeah.
It's something else.
Incredible.
It is incredible. Hey, if you're feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself, it could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, they specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments include testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. So call Game Day Men's Health in Owings Mills at 443-264-4454 or visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com for more. Adley Rutschman gets hurt today. Takes a line drive off the face behind the plate. He stays in. Nobody comes out to check on him, despite the fact that it looked like he was out on his feet. And he ends up having to come out of the ball game. If he goes on the IL, is it Samuel Basallo time?
I can't answer that question. I want to say yes.
Is it Zach Moore time? Are you going to come out of retirement?
Hell no. I want to say yes. I think that they are going to take that clock very seriously, and we may see like Silas Ardone or something like that. Somebody that you don't mind starting the clock early on because they don't really have a future, so to say.
Well, they did just sign, what's his name, Corey Hummel?
Yeah.
Cooper Hummel. Who he's a utility player, but he does catch. If Rutschman goes on the IL,
they'll bring somebody up.
Right, but I mean, what the hell's going on with Gary Sanchez? Did he die? Where is he?
Beats me, man. They had some kind of wrist issue, but I found it kind of funny too, and I forget who pointed it out to me. Lariana was supposed to be available off the bench, and then all of a sudden it was like, up, he can't walk. He's going on the IL. Like,
Well,
he went from
you
available to can't walk.
you heard them talking about it during the games. I don't know if you heard it or not. He told Melly Newman he thought he ended his career on that play. He said that he thought
It wouldn't shock me, dude.
he thought that he completely blew up his knee, and it's actually more a high ankle sprain than it is anything with his knee.
It was
So
ugly.
yeah, it did not look good, and the fact that he popped up and was still walking kind of should have shown you that he's probably like his he's not going to be out for a long amount of time, but I also don't expect him to be back anytime soon.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate because the Padres really want a left fielder.
Yeah. Trade him Kobe Mayo. Trade him Kobe Mayo. Why? Why can't Kobe Mayo play outfield? The guy's got a
dude. He's got like a size 15 shoe or something. He can trip over his own feet out there.
Does he really?
I don't know. I'm just saying he looks unorthodox running.
So here's something that I remember, and God love the guy. This is not a knock on him at all. But I remember thinking, Ryan Ripken, how is this guy? I don't want to say not better, but like the bloodline that he has, his dad and his uncle played in the majors. His grandfather was around baseball for 50, 60 years. Like, why didn't he get a taste, get a cup of coffee in the big leagues? And then I saw him running out to first base one day, and the guy wears like a size 23 shoe. It's just his feet looked way too big for his body, and I'm like, oh, he can't run. And like, so is that what you're telling me? It's like with Kobe Mayo? Does he really have like? Is that?
I
really
have no
what
idea the size of his shoe. To be honest with you, he just it doesn't look comfortable when he runs.
Yeah. Man, I guess that's why they never try him in the outfield, because I mean, like, he's not going to play third base.
I've heard they tried him in right field, and then it was like, never heard about it again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's got a cannon. Sucks to have a cannon, but then you can't catch the ball, and like you're stuck at first base. Boy,
didn't Ryan Mountcastle have a cannon like years ago when he played shortstop?
No, it was his arm strength is the reason he didn't stick.
Oh. I always thought he had a really good arm.
No, it was, from what I remember, they were saying like he couldn't even play second base because of his arm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But then they tried him in left field.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know what the hell the deal was. I just realized we didn't pick anybody for Take the Rake last week.
We didn't?
No. Definitely didn't pick anybody for Take the Rake. Or did we, and I just didn't write them down?
I mean, I see O'Neill and Gunnar right now.
That's who we took the week before.
Oh, then maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think we picked anybody for Take the Rake.
I think it was getting late, and we just wrapped it up early.
Yeah, I think that's what we did, which is kind of the direction that we're headed in today. So we're talking about the Orioles. We're talking about Rutschman. If he goes down, I don't think that you can call, like, Maverick Hanley can't start a catcher for this team, right?
I mean, can Basayo?
At least you can justify the bat. You can justify it with the bat, right?
Sure. Maybe. I mean, he's going to be a rookie. He's going to struggle.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is that people are like, oh, you got to call Basayo. He's going to struggle.
Right.
Gunnar struggled. Calzer struggled. Westberg struggled. Holiday struggled. You know, he's going to struggle when he gets you. Just be prepared for that.
Yeah.
Do you trade for, like, and how long is Rutschman going to be out at all? If he's not out, you know, that's good. But like, maybe
if he's out less than 2 weeks, I think you just deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to. I mean,
I've been pleasantly surprised with Hanley. I mean, the bat hasn't been there just yet, but I feel like he calls a good game. He's got fairly good blocking skills. Got a good arm.
He's here because of his defense.
Yeah.
He got to the taxi squad and made his big league debut because of his defense. I'm not concerned about.
He was hitting over 300 too.
I'd much rather have him behind the dish than Gary Sanchez.
1,000%.
You know, much rather have him back there. I'd much rather, even if Sanchez is healthy, I'd much rather have Hanley be. I'd rather you just DFA Sanchez.
I think they're content with Hanley. And I actually tweeted earlier about that Cooper guy. And I was like, stick with me for a second because he is a catcher / outfielder. And when they do call up Basayo, you want to have Adley and Basayo in the lineup every day together. Now, I
Mm-hmm.
do think that they're probably going to send Hanley down for that,
Mm-hmm.
but then you got to have a catcher if one of them gets hurt. You haven't had a full on emergency catcher since Ryan Flaherty. I think that's all this guy is. He can
Yeah.
play a little outfield. Probably not going to have, Liriano for a while. You don't really know what Carlson's going to do. He's your emergency catcher. It was either him or Ramon Urias. Take a pick.
I'll tell you what though. What an amazing time for Carlson to start picking things up. Made a
Right before
really
St.
nice
Louis.
catch in the well, not just that, but Laureano was tearing the cover off the baseball for you.
Yeah.
Right. His average was pushing 260.
Mm-hmm.
And
he was like 8 for 12 or something like that recently.
And like he was hitting the ball out of the ballpark, and then he gets hurt. And then Dylan Carlson immediately steps in and goes 3 for 8 in the Boston series with a home run and an RBI double. And he makes that great catch today in right field. Just great timing for him to start turning his season around a little bit there. Jake Evett, I think that's how you pronounce it. Does the organization wait till opening day 2026 to bring Basayo up and not waste his professional clock on this year? You could call him up in August and he won't get the 130 at bats.
Yeah.
So maybe
my thing with them, I think he stays down there as long as possible to learn how to be a catcher and not how to catch the ball and how to throw the ball, how to block the ball. Learn how to be a catcher.
Call a game.
Yeah. And that's the biggest difference going from AAA as a catcher to the big leagues is just knowing the situation, knowing the hitter, knowing what to do, how to pitch around maybe this guy and change it up kind of thing. And that's one thing I think Adley personally struggles with is just changing it up. I feel like the second, third time through the lineup there, he just kind of gets really complacent with the fastball and guys start kind of teeing off on it. That it's those little things that you can learn them in AAA. Obviously, the only way to really learn it is to be in the big leagues, but I don't think they want to throw him to the fire just yet with some guys that he really doesn't know that are already struggling themselves. And I think it would be a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, the only way that you could legitimately call him up is if your plan is just to DH him. Like if you're like, you know what, we can use the bat in the lineup. He'll catch very sporadically. He's coming off that shoulder inflammation anyway, so let's give him. Or was it shoulder inflammation this time around? Because I know last year was a stress fracture in the elbow.
It was elbow again.
Okay, so the inflammation in the elbow. So you kind of want to take things slow with him, maybe as a catcher, but you want the bat in the lineup. But to your point, you're not going to do that with him if you believe him to be your catcher of the future.
Yeah, he's got to learn how to be a catcher.
Yeah. So if you're talking about the bat alone, keep in mind the guy's only hitting about 265 at AAA. He's hitting a lot of home runs.
He's been hot lately, though, I think.
He's been hot lately, hitting a lot of home runs. He's averaging like a home run in 8% of his at-bats, which is bananas. I think Babe Ruth averaged a home run in like 7% of his at-bats for his career, or 9%, something like that. Not calling the guy Babe Ruth, but just to kind of give you a comparison there. So the bat, they probably think is damn near ready, if not already ready. But I just don't think that from a catching standpoint that they're ready to promote a 20-year-old.
Here's where it really sucks, man. He's only had 16 at bats versus lefties, and that's another problem.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's 4 for 16, but like when I looked at Mayo last year, like Mayo only had 1 home run all year last year against left-handed pitcher. Like you just don't see enough of them.
Isn't Mayo hitting like? Doesn't he have an OPS above 2? Like that starts with a 2 against left-handed pitching.
Very good.
No, I'm saying like 2 points something. Like his OPS is like 2,000 against
this year.
I could have sworn that I saw that he was.
Yeah, he's hitting 478 right. He's 11 for 23 with 5 home runs
against lefties. Yeah,
and like I said, last year he just didn't face him. He was like less than 100 at bats all year against lefties. It was crazy. But he's struggling overall.
Yeah, he's hitting like 213. Mayo.
Yeah. Just the month of May, he's hitting 145. He's
and
he 3 for 20.
He did.
He's
homer
11
today.
for 76.
He did homer tonight in the first inning. But the yo-yoing with him, bringing him up, sending him down, bringing him up, setting him down, not playing him every day when you do call him up. Like for me, I think you're at a point in the season where you trade Mountcastle and you have Kobe Mayo play first base every day.
Yeah.
Like I think that's where you are with this team, and if he starts tearing the cover off the baseball, then you live with the subpar defense, and at least you know what you've got in him. I mean, if you it, like worst case scenario, he doesn't help you turn it around, and at least you know what you've got in him. Best case scenario, he hits 25 home runs the rest 20 25 home runs the rest of the way. You know that you've got a legitimate middle of the order threat with him, and the Orioles play better baseball. Mountcastle's not giving you any kind of power. Yeah, he's got a hit in like 17 of 18 games, but you can go 1 for 5 and that still be the case. The average has been hovering around 230 for a month now, and he has 2 home runs. Now, the other guy who I didn't expect to be here is Ryan O'Hearn, and he's second in the American League in OPS, fifth in hitting. He's hitting over
top 5 hitter in the AL.
Yeah, he's hitting over 300 against left-handed and right-handed pitching this year. Now, no power against left-handed pitching, but he's still putting the bat on the ball and getting on base. His on-base percentage, I think, is like top 3 or 4 in the American League. What Ryan O'Hearn is A, is he an all-star this year? And B, he might be their only all-star, honestly. And B, does he warrant a 3-year, $45 million extension? Or is he too old? My only issue
does he
I've
warrant
ever
it?
had,
Yes. I just don't know if it's here. And I don't want to say that for like a performance reason or anything. It's just we've seen Mike, right? But we've seen Mike, block his prospects, and all of a sudden he just gets rid of you, and then it's the prospect's turn. You just kind of log jam at first base, whether that be Adley or Basayo, or if Kerstad figures it out eventually. It's got so many guys at first base. I don't know if you can. You should. I just don't know if they're going to block that all back up with Ryan O'Hearn. It's a tough call. I think it's a really, really tough call.
Joe
if you
says, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I thought you were done. I apologize. I don't know, man.
I don't think they're eating $10 million.
Well, with McCann, I mean,
with Sanchez.
Sanchez only got 8.
Money.
He only
Was
got
it 8?
He got $8 million.
10% reason.
O'Hearn got $8.5 million.
Yeah.
And with O'Hearn, just to finish your point, I think if he was 28, there's no doubt. Legitimately, my only gripe with O'Hearn has always been his age. The fact that he's 32 years old, but he's the best hitter on the team right now. As far as Sanchez, I mean, it's prorated at this point, so you probably owe him another $6 million the rest of the year, something like that. Another $6 million the rest of the year. I don't know. McCann, Sanchez rated better defensively last year than McCann did as a catcher.
Just 22 games though.
Yeah,
that was the big difference. Is Sanchez was at 22 games and McCann was at 64. So he's more opportunity to make more mistakes, but that was another fumble by Mike, was to bring in Gary Sanchez and expect him to catch 60, we'll even say 50 some games. I'm just glad Maverick Hanley was a little bit ready.
Yeah. I mean, and if Adley's out for any kind of period of time, I don't know what you do with catcher, because you're going to have somebody who can't get on base. You're going to have somebody who can't get on base. What's the difference?
I shouldn't have said that.
No, but honestly.
Oh my God. Have you looked at his numbers lately? God, I gotta pull these up.
Who, Adley?
God, they're so bad against left-handed pitching. I think just since May 1st that I decided to look at it. Let me pull this up real quick. Left-handed pitching. There's no way that's right. Oh, whoops. Versus as a left-handed hitter, there we go. 138 this month, and he went 0 for 2 today, so he's down to 133. He's 8 for 60.
As a left-handed hitter?
Yeah.
So you think Adley should just focus on batting right-handed?
Adley better focus on something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
dude's got 3 RBIs right now in the month and 60 at-bats as a left-handed hitter. And like
He
you
hits the top
primarily
4.
see lefties, you know?
Mhm.
He can't be in the lineup anymore as a left-handed hitter. Top of the lineup. He's hitting
I mean,
197 on the season with
they're
just 12 RBIs.
they're never gonna I mean, maybe they do. I don't
You
think it
need to.
happens this year. Hey, real quick, because this is that we didn't really talk about. Do you? I mean, we did, but Edmund says you two in the radio broadcast knew not to pitch to Devers. Guys in the dugout should have known too. You guys are too generous to them and the training staff failures. Thanks for the sanity and good spirit of your show. Do you honestly believe that? I mean, what Mansolino said made no sense, right? It made absolutely no sense.
I think that guy's scared every time he gets in front of the camera. And I don't blame him. I'd probably say some dumb shit too, to be honest.
I mean, he looks scared. I mean,
Some people just don't like
his
talking
eyes
to
are like
like
this.
cameras and stuff. Right.
His eyes are always like this, and he's always just kind of like looking around, like, "Somebody give me an answer. Somebody give me an answer."
Give him
Like,
a little bit of dose of Adderall or something before you send him up there.
I gotta be honest. I clicked on that and forgot that we already talked about it earlier in the show. Like, I forgot. So my apologies on that one. Oh, now I remember. Jim Bowden was on MLB Network talking about the Orioles, and you saw the 2.5-minute clip where they were talking about like the Orioles can they turn the season around and all that. And he said, first of all, I think you gotta have guys playing out of position. Gunnar should be playing third base. Holiday should be at shortstop, and Westberg, when he's healthy, should be at second base. Do you agree with that? Specifically, Gunnar at third and Holiday at short.
I don't think so. I don't know. I think they're both really good athletes.
Yeah.
Has Gunnar made some errors in his time at shortstop? Sure. But Gunner's made some really fantastic plays at shortstop too. I mean, how many times did? Go ahead.
That play that he made though on that error in game
one
yesterday.
It was bonehead.
It was a really stupid play.
It was
a really
and I
stupid
understand
play.
why he did it. You know, in the situation, you wanted to try to get the lead runner. You know, do I want an out at first with runners at second and third and one out, or do I want to try and keep the double play in order and get the out at second? I understand it. It didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? That's what superstars do. They try to make a play.
That throw was so bad.
It was bad. It was really bad.
Terrible.
But I can promise you that Jackson Holiday probably tries to make the same play.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if he made the throw and got the guy out, he looks like an absolute genius, right? Because now you kept the double play in order. You had first and third with one out. I believe that's what it would have been. Everything would have been peachy, right? That's what big time players do, is they try to get the out in an unexpected way. I accept that from Gunnar. You don't get that out of a lot of guys. Bobby Witt probably tries to make that same play. Bobby Witt probably makes that throw. But they're two guys that are just better than everybody else at trying to get an out. Gunnar's a little unpolished at short. But there's no denying that stretch that he went on last year where it was like he had a freaking web jam every single night.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was in June. Leaping across the diamond, jumping up way up in the air and snagging line drives, making crazy plays back behind the back. He's capable of playing shortstop at the big leagues. There's no denying that whatsoever. I just think there's sometimes that he thinks too much, and we see it in the plate too. He thinks too much, and he's too hard on himself, and he just tries to do a little too much. Mm-hmm. Jackson's probably a little bit smoother. I don't know if his first step is as good. We didn't get to see him long enough. I just think Gunnar's just the overall better athlete, and he'll do more long term.
Here's the thing that I think is the difference between Adley and not Adley, between Gunnar and Jackson. Jackson has the pedigree.
Yeah.
Right? Because he came up with a hell of a ball player for a father. And you can see that his baseball ability is almost like a technician or like surgical, right?
Yeah.
Where there's science behind his game. Whereas with Gunnar, it's just like, I'm just really freaking good at baseball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like maybe Gunnar has more God-given ability, but Jackson has just the pedigree, the correct tutelage, and has really worked to whatever he wasn't given as a gift from God that Gunnar was given. He makes up for by in baseball IQ and just knowing how to be a technician of the game. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the difference. I think if you take Jackson Holliday's technical ability and his baseball IQ and you put it in Gunnar Henderson, you have the best shortstop in baseball.
Yeah.
You know,
Maybe.
and that's what I see from the two of them.
I don't disagree with you. I think they're both outstanding. You could make that switch, and I think the Orioles would potentially maybe get better. I don't know long term if Westberg sticks at second. I just don't like Westberg at second base. I don't know why. He just seems slow. Doesn't seem like he reads the bat as well as he does at third. The ball off the bat. I'm sorry. I don't know. I mean, maybe with more reps or something like that. I mean, dude, I'll be dead honest with you right now. Ramon Urias might not need to even come off third base. He's kind of back to playing some good baseball at third base.
And he's putting the bat on. He's having a nice season. You notice we don't talk about Ramon Urias because he's playing well. You know, and I don't know, man. When I think about Gunnar playing third base, I think about Manny.
I played with Manny, and it was ugly to watch Manny play shortstop.
There's too much time to think playing shortstop.
Oh, it was bad. Like if a ball hit right to him, it was in between the legs all the time. But
you put him at third base, the ball just gets on you. That's why they call it the hot corner, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And like, there's no time to think. You just play, you know. And I think that if Gunnar doesn't have time to think and process what's going on, and he just goes on his natural instincts, he's a damn good third baseman. Maybe that's what Bowden's talking about. Like,
maybe
let the guy get out of his own head, just play baseball and react, and he'll be a damn good third baseman because he has that natural ability. And that's what happened with Manny. And Manny's one of the greatest third basemen that's ever played the game because the ball just gets on you now. And now he has the confidence, and the game is slowed down for him that, you know, he can just do it with his eyes closed. You know, Jordan Westbrook, I don't care where you put Westbrook, he's going to be competitive. You can put Westbrook at shortstop, and he's going to play he's going to play a J.J. Hardy-esque shortstop because he's just a natural baseball player. You know, I'm not worried about where they put Westbrook. Is Ramon Urias a trade candidate?
Should be. I'd be looking at the Yankees prospects right now. And I know that would suck to trade him there, but I mean, they've got some good arms. And
I mean, is he Gio Urshela for them?
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
He's Gio Urshela for us.
Yeah.
He's a damn good ball player, man. And I mean, I said at the beginning of the year, I think I might have said it to you. I mean, if before St. Louis got hot, if they were to trade Arenado, that would have been a guy to backfill for them. And, you know, we could have maybe swung a deal or something. But I mean, look, the Yankees got some quality arms in their top 20 prospects, and I'd be looking at one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget the guy's name that I tweeted. Kind of wholeheartedly joking around a little bit, but I'm kind of serious about it too. Clayton Beater for Ramon Urias. You know, the MLB Deadline News said, you know, the Yankees are aggressively searching for a right-handed hitter, preferably somebody that can play third base. And Clayton Beater is the guy that I've kind of kept my name on or eye on this year. And so he right now is a 3.72 in 9 innings. He's a bullpen arm. He's 26. You're not going to get a ton of value out of Ramon Urias. But a career, he's 12-18, 3.63 ERA, 101 games. He started 83 of them, so he's a former starter. But here's the kicker. 309 career innings. Take a wild guess at his Ks.
309 career innings?
Mm-hmm.
327.
444.
Jesus. That's like 18 Ks per 9.
Right. So swing that from Ramon Urias as a bullpen arm, right? Like, fills a need for the Orioles.
Not 18. That's like 14 Ks per 9. Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
That fills a need for the Orioles, and it fills a need for the Yankees, and I feel like you could get value out of that. And a guy with 5 years control, I think he has left. 6 years. So 6 years control.
I just don't know that you're going to get a pitcher like that with that much.
Well, he's only ranked there. I want to say he's like 20th or 21st or something like that. I had another guy in mind, but he's starting to move up their board a little bit. Clayton's 20th. He's their 20th ranked. The other guy that I was high on at the time that I looked, he was 27th. Now he's 17th. It's Carlos Lagrange. He's got a 70 grade fastball, but he's 6'7", 200 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Got like
6'7".
a 6.
Jesus.
Yeah, he had a 6.8886 ERA last year in high A. This year he's got a 4.63. But if you were trying to get like long-term value out of it, go get a guy who's got a 70 grade fastball. That you're sitting what 90? What's a 70 grade? 96, 97?
Probably. Because you can only go up to 80, right?
Yeah.
Hey, random, huge guy, really tall guy that the Orioles got in a trade a couple of years ago, who was in the minor leagues. Who the hell am I thinking of? He was like 6'9", 6'10". Who am I thinking of? No. But it's I feel like he was a lefty. Oh my gosh, who am I thinking of? He was a minor league pitcher. He was in like high A, big strikeout arm. Oh my God, what's his name?
Talking about Batista? He was in high A just a couple years ago.
No, but he's been there. He was in high A for like 8 years. The guy I'm talking about, they got him in a freaking trade. I almost dropped an F-bomb. And I cannot remember him.
This might be it here. Jared Beck.
Is that it? I think that's it.
Draft 7-footer. Jared Beck at a Division II St. Leo, 13th round, 2022. Listed at 7 foot.
They didn't draft him. They traded somebody for this guy.
Oh.
They made a trade for, oh my God, it's going to drive me nuts. For the rest of the show, it'll drive me nuts. Then I'll go upstairs and I'll forget about it. But
George Earnshaw?
That might be it.
It's 1924.
Oh. See, you could say any name, and Princess can swallow a banana hammock, and I'd be like, oh, that might be it. That might be
it.
Oh my God, who did they trade? They traded. I feel like it was a trade with the.
Is Jared Beck still in the system?
I don't know. I don't know who that is. If I'm being perfectly honest,
that was the 7-footer. Yeah, he's in Aberdeen. Okay, cool. He's got 12 ERA right now. 6 innings, 8 runs. Whatever.
Oh my gosh, I don't know who the hell this guy is, and like looking up Orioles trade for 6'10" minor leaguer doesn't get the results I was looking for.
Yeah,
I'll have to do a deep dive and go back and see who they. I can't even remember. I feel like it was a trade with like the Mets or some who knows. Going off the rails here. Let's get back on track here. All right. Kind of winding things down on the show here. Want to do a little bit more, a few more comments, and I think that Mark Cooper makes a good point here. We're talking about like leapfrogging teams again back in. He says, remember, some of these clubs ahead of us may add some pieces that helps them and hurts us at the trade deadline, which is a good point. You know, we do play a lot of these teams that are in front of us, but if they're going to be making additions too, you know, how likely are the Orioles? And that's why it's so hard for me to sit there and predict that the Orioles are going to have an opportunity to get back into this, because I don't know. I've spent, but I'll do it, you know, because I've spent my entire life doing that. But I watch this team, and anytime that I feel like they're about to turn a corner, they get their teeth kicked in for a week. You know, they didn't. They won. They were 3-4 this week. And it feels like they play so much better baseball because the week before that they were 0-6. You know, like 3-10 in their last 13 games. And we're sitting here acting like, oh, they can get back into this. Now, look, they played some good baseball the last 2 games. Got some great starting pitching in that series. I mean, Zach Eflin is that gunner error potentially away from giving you 6 innings, a 3-run ball. You know, the rotation looks better. This bullpen scares the crap out of me. The offense still has to prove that they can keep things going here. But I don't know, man. Crazier things have happened, but actually that's not true. No team has ever been where the Orioles are record-wise and made the postseason. It's never happened. You know, so any comments that you see on here before we do got to do take the rake because we haven't done it. While you're perusing the comments, I want to remind everybody that you can find every score from every high school sporting event all year long at countysports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Any other comments that you want to get to here?
Scrolling through here.
See, that's the thing. We used to spend a good bit of time at the end of every show going over going over everybody's comments. There are so many comments on these shows.
I
So
see,
many.
I seen a couple of like about 10 minutes ago, I think it was. And it said, "You've reached 100 messages today. Good job." That came from
Oh man.
Restream, I think.
Wow. Yeah. See, like, let's see. Randall says, I'm praying Elias holds his prospects and sells off players like Mullins, Sagano, Eflin, others, and stocks up on prospects until the offseason. Okay, that's something I wanted to talk about earlier. My brain got fried. Sagano and Eflin.
Mm-hmm.
Are both of those guys gone? Are you trading them? I would love to see them extend Sagano. I think he's a quality big league pitcher.
I'd like to see
Uh,
him extend both of them.
yeah, but I mean, like,
But I
and
mean,
then
let's be honest with ourselves right now. Would Zach Eflin take an extension right now?
I mean, does Zach Eflin deserve an extension right now? I
He's
mean,
hurt every year. Every year.
He's hurt every year. He has been his entire
Not
career.
long, but he's hurt.
His ERA is approaching 6 right now. He gave up 8 runs 2 starts ago and 5 runs yesterday, even despite, a lot of that came because of that Gunnar error. That close having a quality start. What does an extension for Zach Eflin look like? Because he's at number 3. Buck always used to say 162 game season will tell you exactly who you are. You are who you are. You come back to the mean, right? 9 starts from Eflin last year with like a 2.60 ERA. He had a 3 ERA his first 3 starts. He comes back. He's been lit up 3 or 4 outings. He's given up runs in the first inning of every outing since he's been back. Meanwhile, Tomoyuki Sagano has, if he wasn't 35 years old, he'd be getting legit. And if the Orioles didn't suck a bag full of what, he would be getting legitimate Rookie of the Year consideration.
He's for the still way top 5.
Yeah, for the way that he's pitched. So I think Mullins is gone. I think Mullins is 100% traded, especially with how poor he's been in May.
You think they deal him soon to San Diego? Like if Bradfield stays hot, or Cowser comes back and you pull up Beavers.
Well, but now you've got. I don't think they're going to pull up Beavers. I don't think Beavers.
I don't think Kersted's here much longer. I hate to even admit that.
But you're not wrong. I could see Kersted getting traded. Laureano's hurt, and what little vibe? I mean, maybe you have good vibes in the clubhouse, but don't you think that trading Cedric Mullins right now throws a wrench in whatever vibes you have left in there?
No,
you don't think so?
Like, cool, he's the veteran, like he's a nice guy, but like, does he talk?
Maybe
like,
not.
Is he giving you kind of pep talks or anything like that? You know what I mean? Like he's kind of by himself all the time. I mean, when you see the cameras pan in the dugouts, he's pretty much by himself.
Yeah.
Is he a vibe guy? I don't think so.
Okay.
I think he's just a really good guy. Would they hate losing him? Sure. I think you probably hated losing Trey Mancini a hell of a lot more than you would hate losing Cedric Mullins. In my opinion, as a player, I don't know. They might keep him. I think it just depends on how hot some of these other guys get. Here's the problem: is like, do you want to go into 2026 with a rookie center fielder, or do you want to like maybe give Mullins a 1-year deal just in case Bradfield doesn't work out?
I mean, is he? O'Neill's going to be back next year.
Yeah.
Right. He's not declining. He's not opting out. You've got Cowser. Cowser can play.
And honestly, field. Right now things can change. Right now, you're picking up Ramon Laureano's option.
Mm-hmm.
$6.5 million.
So, and what can you get for Cedric Mullins? That's the other thing. Like, I don't know how much you can get for Mullins. With this, he's on an expiring contract. He's 30 years old. He's hitting 230. He's hitting a lot of home runs. He still plays really good defense. But what a lot of people don't realize is that Mullins' great defense also comes from the fact that his range factor isn't great. So he's making diving plays on balls that a guy like Bradfield catches on his feet.
Yep.
So I think that Mullins can get you something. I just don't know that it's a lot. I mean, look at what you have left over from the Manny Machado trade. And Manny Machado is a Hall of Famer. You had
Yeah.
Dean Kramer. You have Dean Kramer, and that's what you got for 2 months of Manny Machado.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the hell happened to Yusniel Diaz. Where did he go?
Nowhere.
One at bat in his big league career, but I just don't know what you're gonna get for Mountcastle, for Mullins. Eflin could get you something, especially if you factor in what he did after coming over at the deadline last year. Some team that's in contention will give you something for him. So I do agree with Orioles Bird Watcher. I think you extend Sagano and you deal Eflin.
Yeah.
You know,
so Mullins could fetch you a 25 to 30 ranked prospect for somebody.
Yeah. See, I'm at a point now. I don't know. And that's the thing. What is Mike Elias going to do in the offseason? Because yeah, you can go get some prospects, but I feel like you got to get somebody that helps your big league roster now.
Right.
You know, you need a legitimate reliever back there. You can't just keep trotting out Dominguez and Soto. You need a legitimate threat for the middle of your order. Now, Cedric Mullins isn't going to bring that into you, but Cedric Mullins in a package might. I'm damn glad I'm not a general manager.
Yeah.
Like that job just seems so hard to me. It just seems so hard to me. This is the last comment I want to do because it's getting late here, later than 9 at this point, Mr. Radke. I just wish Gunnar would straighten up and throw with a planted foot when it's a play when he can do it that way. But he always wants to throw off bounds across his body. It's a bit aggravating. That's my issue that I have with Gunnar playing shortstop. He never sets his feet. He never puts himself in a good fielding position. He's always coming around. And I know that he does that intentionally. He's always coming through the baseball, and he can put more on the throw. I just and maybe it's because I watched Cal, and then I watched
Bordick,
and I watched
and then Hardy,
and where these guys are just fundamentally sound shortstops. Where they're in fielding position as soon as the ball is pitched, they get their glove down, they field the ball between their legs, they get up, they step into their throw, and they make a solid throw across the diamond. I'm used to watching fundamentally sound fielding in the infield, and Gunnar does this new school thing where you run around the baseball, you feel like you're an outfielder coming through a ground ball, and you fire across the diamond. And I get it; it helps you get more on the throw, but it also helps you make a lot of errors where the ball comes up and hits the heel of your glove and bounces past you.
Right.
But also I think a lot of Gunnar's errors are throwing errors too.
Yeah.
When you see it. But anything else you want to add, man?
No, I'm just kind of, I shouldn't be, but I'm still excited, man. I feel like the team's played fairly better. They can figure out this pitching stuff. It might make a little noise. You
got to get Bradish back. You got to get Wells back and put him in the bullpen. Like his days as a starter, in my opinion, are over. We know nothing about. They did say Grayson could start throwing again in the next couple of weeks, but I also think that the lineup has to get Westberg and Kowser back. You can see what's going to happen with that. This team's got better baseball in front of them, but we've been saying that for 4 weeks now. At what point do things really? Maybe this is the start of them starting to turn, but. Today's show has been brought to you by the latest edition of Press Box, which is available now. On the cover, Luke Jackson looks at the long road back from Tommy John surgery for Orioles closer Felix Bautista, starter Kyle Bradish, and Tyler Wells. Also inside, learn about new Maryland basketball coach Buzz Williams from the players that have played for him and much more. You can find a new issue all throughout the region, including at 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. Zach, give us a plug before you get out of here.
Pigtown Sports, everywhere you look, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, especially over at YouTube. Come chat some ball. I'm on Twitter too, and just literally posting all day long. I probably annoy you, so if you don't like that, don't follow me.
Fair. I probably annoy people too. I feel like everything I tweet recently is negativity. I've had a lot of people on that bandwagon with me because of how bad this year's been. I hate doing it, but anyway, neither here nor there. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Without you, we don't have a show. Thank you to all of our loyal listeners, viewers, fans. Without you, we 100% do not have a show. Thank you so much for sticking with us as we've moved from 10 a.m. on Saturdays to 5 p.m. on Sundays to 8:30 on Sundays. Shows ending at 10:20 on a Sunday night. We really appreciate those of you that have stuck.
It's only because most of us don't have to work tomorrow, by the way. Don't get used to that, guys.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next